When it comes to Canadian food, we've got your back with flavors like lemon pepper, beer batter, campfire barbecue, lemon pepper dill, garlic butter and chives, and crispy Cajun. We've got a mix for every meal. Whether you're serving East Coast shrimp, West Coast salmon, succulent walleye, chicken wings, or veggies, we've got you covered. Coat your food in outdoor flavors. Available online or at these fine retailers.
Good evening, Sally Mitchell. How you doing, Steve Shaw? Yes, sir. It's time to cook. Well, it's time to gawk. It's time to drool. It's time to get hungry. Pete LeDuc's in the house. How you doing, Walter? Hey, baby, all the way out in the west. Good to see you, my friend. Nice to see the CFN family joining us on a Thursday. Another Cooking with Cameron segment as CFN is cooking with Cameron Tait. He's got a delicious recipe. He's going to explain what it is, what the ingredients are, and who it's dedicated to. And I think Sally and any other ladies and wives that are watching, you'll appreciate this dedication. How you doing, Barry? Good to see you as well. So without further ado, let's bring in our honored guest, the one and only CT, Cameron Tait. How you doing, Cameron? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Cameron, go ahead. I forgot to include the actual mic. I apologize.
Hey, how are you? How's that?
Far better, much better. As it is, we do have to pay homage to all of our CFNers and colleagues to our south who are enjoying what I hope is a family-filled, fun night, Thanksgiving night. I know this is a big day for our American counterparts. So big hats off and shout out to all of you US of A anglers. We're thinking of you on your special day.
Amen.
Amen. All right. So
I have to say before we get going, sorry.
Yeah.
I haven't, once I get this shot and then this shot down here, and we do this, I know you sent me that StreamYard really early so I can kind of get my shit together, because sometimes that thing doesn't talk with this thing very good, and then there's horrendous feedback. So if my phone, I'm not touching this at all, this camera. So if something happens or rings or whatever, we'll just let it be.
Sounds like a plan. Now I am yet again honored to see that Bait to Gore Outdoor Flavors is going to be a part of tonight's recipe. I see the lemon pepper dill bag. I'm hoping you're not running out of our outdoor flavors. I might have to stock you up with some more.
Yeah, I'm getting low. So
there you go. All right. Good to know. Good to know.
So what are we going to talk about?
Well, I'll tell you this. Out this way, we are sort of waiting for the hard water season to start. Temperatures are going to drop a little bit in the next couple of days, but it's a whole different ball game out in Winter Pig, and I say that with all due respect because I know you savvy hard water anglers are looking forward to the fact that Mother Nature is making ice for you, and did a great job last night as your temperatures fell below 20 degrees. Yeah,
it was minus 22. It's really windy. Some people took some shots out of Lake Winnipeg today. Out on the east side, there's a lot of frazzle ice, so it's pushed a lot of the ice that had formed, to the east side. Sometimes it's really terrible to travel on with trucks. Sleds okay. Quads sometimes really rough, but still a little bit early for me. I know there's some people out there. I've got this thing of being on the top side of the ice. The ice is here. I want to be here. I don't want to be down there. So I respect ice a lot. And it's funny, even last night, I was getting ready for bed. I was thinking, Winter Pig, and, we have cold temperatures, but like we are really blessed, here, blessed, cursed. with a very long, really, ice fishing season. And there's some places don't get ice at all that they can travel on, and some places, in Canada, it could be a couple of weeks, it could be a month, but basically, from maybe next week, maybe, or in a couple of weeks, there will be probably people venturing out, and we go all the way basically until about around the 5th of April. It depends on the calendar.
Yeah.
But it's a really, really long ice fishing season, so we're pretty lucky that way.
We got into the discussion about safe ice and when to venture out on ice. The Jim, myself, the panel, and one of my biggest fears, of course, is big windy. When you don't have that thick enough ice pack, that your winds, when they do pick up, my thoughts are always with your Manitoba anglers, that they get caught out on that ice, because it can shift so quickly, and with that wind and your weather changing on a dime, sometimes you can get in situations that you can't even there's no way you could count on that happening. So I know a lot of you don't venture out in the early part of the season that far. The fishery allows you to target fish, I don't want to say inshore, but closer to shore. So, at least your fishery allows you to enjoy it when it suits you and when Mother Nature allows it to happen. But as I said, you can't emphasize it enough. If it's not thick enough, and we're talking 4 inches. You and I talked about this before we went live. 4 inches is pretty much what we're looking for. I know there's a lot of hard water anglers that will venture out in less than that. And all the power to you. I don't advise it, but your body of water better than I do. So, have at it. But
I remember I can tell you the exact year. It was 2003. And we had a real cold snap in the beginning of November. And I had went out, I think in the second week, very reluctantly with a friend. And we were on the Red River, and there was a couple of inches of ice, and we were relatively close to shore. We had all this safety gear and rope and everything. So my friend, he's screwing around with me. He's like, "Hey, look at, the ice is flexing." I'm like, "Can you stop that? Because you're freaking me out." And it was flexing like this, and he thought it was hilarious. So.
Yeah, as I said to Lawrence Gunther on Monday, when his friends allow him to walk, by himself on the ice, and we're asking him to race his machine across the ice, again with the disability like he does, I'm going to advise that you pick better friends, just like I did Lawrence, because who needs that? The tickers, they're not getting any younger, they're not getting any better, so we don't need those kind of shocks to the system.
Like I was saying just before we got on, last year around this time, my son and we went to a small reservoir. He did lots of research before, it was safe ice, but we were maybe about 10 feet from shore. We had ropes, we had picks, and we were just using axes, and just, go with a friend. Geez. If something goes wrong, and if something would have gone wrong, we could have even hooked the rope up to the truck on the shore and pulled us out, pulled myself out or whatever. But just be prepared, so.
And it's reservoir fishing, right? So, you always have current. There's always current there, and of course, when Big Windy decides to get angry, that hard water can shift very easily and very quickly. Absolutely good advice to make sure you're safe. Make sure you use the buddy system, and know where you're going. Plan ahead. That's huge.
And just really quick, there's sometimes early ice. Winnipeggers, no matter what happens, no matter what the weather is, really, Boxing Day, people are driving out, and especially first light. And it's dark out, and driving out there, and people just put their trust in, I don't know, just a hope and a prayer. But especially, if you're going out the first time on the ice, for a lot of people, and driving out at when it's still dark out, you have no chance, really, if something goes wrong, because you can't really see a crack sometimes, or if something's opened up, you might have a little bit of ice on top, but you can go in very, very quickly. So
100%. Now I understand the draw. Those Manitoba greenbacks. There's not too many fish like them, and that I'm aware of anyway. So I can understand why folks want to get out first ice. There is that transition period if you're not into hunting. There's that transition period where you're jonesing to get fishing. You're jonesing. But needless to say, I would probably suggest that perhaps you might want to take up hunting. Like Maddie did, and congratulations to Maddie. I heard she was able to get her first deer.
She did, and maybe I'm the bad father that I never took her out. I was never into game. I was more into hunting birds, and really we would always try to fish right to ice up. So you have to sometimes choose. And big game hunting has never been in my repertoire, but I tell you, I'm kind of jealous after she got, and very proud, so proud of my daughter that got her first deer, and did it all on her own with her boyfriend Austin. And so and she said that she missed one or didn't get it the way she wanted. Big deal. It's all about the experience. And I remember when she was 8 years old, first time I took her out goose hunting, and she was in the blind with me, or no, she had a blind next to her. And first time a bird went down, winged it, and I said, "Oh, geez, Brennan, why don't you go get it?" And Brennan was 12, and Madison said, "I'll go get it." She tears across the field, and she picks up this winged bird, and I'm like, "Oh my God, what's she gonna do with this thing? I don't know how she's gonna react." Have I told you this story?
No.
So she goes over, and she's 8 or 9. Anyways, I think she was 9. So she goes over, and this goose is flopping all over the place, and she put her foot right on the head, and I'm like, "Oh God, what's she gonna do now?" So she bent down, picked this thing up, nonchalantly started walking back, and I see this. I said, "Where the hell did she learn how to do that?" Because she's never seen me do that. But anyways, I never forget that. And my friend that I was hunting with said, "Did she just do that, or just ring the?" Yeah, she did. So, anyways, really proud of Madison.
Fantastic. Well, and it goes with the theme of tonight's recipe. And I'm going to let you sort of do the dedication and who we're giving the shout out to. But in the line of Maddie, in the theme of Maddie, and congratulations to you, Maddie, on your first deer. Tonight's recipe is dedicated to some very special and very important ladies.
Yeah. So, like I said on Monday's show, we've been hearing about Tammy McLaughlin. She's having some, health troubles, and I made this recipe. It was last week, and do you know how long it took for me to create this recipe?
How long, Cameron?
We haven't practiced this, I swear. No, it's just you just open the fridge, and I thawed some walleye just the night before, and just grab ingredients, and that's what cooking should all be about. It should be fun and just creative and not be stressful. But the most important thing is that, so I posted that, and I said to Jim, I said, "I'm sorry, you're at home, and you're maybe having a cheese sandwich or something, but I want to make this dish for Tammy. And if I could fly there and cook this for you, I absolutely will." So this dish is dedicated especially to Tammy, but all the spouses, the husbands, the wives, boyfriends, and girlfriends out there that give us support, every single day. I've got a really great wife, and I leave for work at 7:30 this morning, and she messaged me and she said, I need to go out with my friends. Are you going to need me there tonight? I said, no, it's fine. Just me and the dogs. See them.
Yeah.
I came home. My cutting board's here. I've got these two big lights over here. I've got this light. I've got all my ingredients. I've got my floor mat that I stand on so my back doesn't get sore. And she's got my knives and utensils out here. She did all of that just because she's a great lady. So I feel very fortunate.
We all are, and we all have rocks that we depend on, and that depend on us. And I'll tell you, I was talking about it before we went to air. In regards to Tammy, Cameron, Sandy has had to share her time with you and the rest of CFN and all your followers. Mine does the same with CFN, and but Tammy, she's been doing it for decades. And does it, very willingly, very acceptingly, and very supportive. And yeah, it's her time now. So yeah, unbelievable, great dedication. And as I said, I couldn't think of a more honored guest to have dedicating this recipe to and for. So yeah, Tammy, all our thoughts and prayers are with you. Hopefully,
maybe I don't know. I guess I'm a softie. I really appreciate what I have. I never take anything for granted. And I think maybe, guys, especially, way back, it was kind of a macho thing. And, I did a trade show, it was about 3 weeks ago. And, I did a post after, just saying how everything that I needed and did, my wife had ready for me, whether it was like, gum or Tylenol or a back thing, and drinks and snacks and everything that you can imagine, she had ready for me there. So I'm just a very, very small piece of the puzzle, and I think that goes for a lot of spouses that sometimes don't get a lot of credit. My wife isn't on any kind of social media. I think maybe I do the more for the both of us, but she never saw that. I never showed her. It's not sort of a thing that I need the gratification, but it's to show people out there that there's always two in a successful couple.
And Sandy's very much like my wife, not active on social media at all. Supports what I do and allows time to be shared with our CFN community. That's why it's cool when you see couples like Sally and Barry, sharing not only their journey together, but their love for fishing. I think it's absolutely awesome. And yes, Corey, it is Thanksgiving to our counterparts to ourselves. So happy Thanksgiving to all you and yours. And hopefully it is a family-filled, fun-packed day of remembrance that you folks can sit back and have some great memories, some great food, and then some great fish tales. But before we get to the recipe, I have to ask, Cameron, the knife that you were showing last week, was it it was late last week, that honestly looked like it'd been run over by a lawnmower. Is it back to normal?
Oh, it's better than new, really. So I took it out of the box, and he's a local businessman here, and I looked at it and I was impressed. I'm like, bravo, this is the top award of the worst knife that I've seen this year. But it's a lot of people would maybe not do it and just turn it down, but I look at it as a challenge. Like a lot of things I've done in my career, like I can fix this. And you know what, I don't charge nearly enough of what I did to fix that knife, but the gratification from a new customer that said I was going to throw this out, and now it is sharper than new. And he's showing his family and friends, and he's showing it off, how good it is. So
I have to ask though, what was he cutting with it?
You know what? I didn't ask him. Yeah, Steve. There's that YouTube. I don't know how old that thing is. That might have been even in Gord Kaiser's kitchen, maybe that one that we shot probably 6-7 years ago. Anyways, what he said was wife, would throw the knives in the sink and then the dishwasher, and the dishwasher, when it's moving around, and if they're up like this or whatever, they're just doing like this, they're just banging. And if you just sort of toss it in your sink or your drawer, you know, the knife drawer, yeah, knives get damaged like kind of like that, but not nearly as bad.
You are being so politically correct, Cameron. I tell you, I'm inspired. Well done.
You know what? I think we better get going and doing some stuff here, because
Yes,
we're going to be, it's going to be midnight. You know how I like to talk.
Absolutely. Now, tonight's recipe, you have, I'm honored that you have our Baked to Go Outdoor Flavors as part of it, but it is a special recipe that I don't believe you've ever done before. Is that correct?
Yeah, and honest to God, you know, it was last week, and okay, I've got walleye, so I went into the fridge, and we always talk about flavor profiling in marriages and stuff like that. Oh, I'm missing 2 ingredients. It's all about things that go really, really well together. So, see if I can get this. So, okay, think opposite to where it's going.
That's right. There you
go. Okay, so onions and garlic go really, really well together. It's a perfect marriage. And then if you have butter to go with this, great. And if you've got sun-dried tomatoes, earthy, like really kind of rich, but still mild, and there's some oil in there as well. And something that I didn't put in the dish, but I thought that would go really well, it's a marinated artichoke. And ooh, I asked my wife to get this marinated artichokes. There's this one here. That one's okay, but I didn't tell her that.
And I also see some parsley. There's some parsley there.
Yeah. You see that? That's pretty bright. So it's a marinated artichoke heart in oil. And that one has a little bit more flavor than the one in the can. And then you throw in like parsley and butter and garlic. It goes well, and it gives a nice vibrance. And then a little bit of Chardonnay wine. So you're getting some of the alcohol flavor, a little bit more body. And then, where is this? Right here. So then I went into the pantry. I'm like, you know, Cajun, I can use Cajun. It's fine. It's a little bit more spicier than maybe I want something that's mild, but it definitely can work. There's nothing wrong with it. But lemon, pepper, dill, butter, onions, garlic, it works. And that's how flavor profiling works. And when I did the dish, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna saute this, and I'm gonna do that. But I thought I want to seal in the flavor, you know, in the fish, and that's where this one comes into play, because I'm gonna give you a trick. So I got my walleye here, and I'm not gonna towel it off. Why do you think that is?
You want it to absorb something.
Amen. So the natural, you know, flavor, and you know, the it's going to soak into the fish. So I want a little bit of a crust on there, but I still want it relatively light. I'm not going to be battering it or deep frying it, but it gives like a coating that it's actually going to keep the moisture in the inside. And 1 second.
It's true. For all those who come to the CFN retreat and enjoy a fish fry every night, they'll know that I do like to dry off the fillets, but not completely, for the simple fact that it's easy for you to coat the meat with whatever it is that you're using. So it's a great tip that Cameron is offering. Okay,
so these are the 2 other ingredients that I used. So one is the chilies. So you got a nice bite with this one. But these, there's all different kinds of spices that you can get in the store, and it's just sometimes so overwhelming, you know, for spices. But this one here, this one is a vegetable, and it's got onions and garlic and bell pepper and tomato, and some natural sugars. So this one here, it just gives a little bit more depth. You don't have to, because you have the seasoning and the flavor of that one. But sometimes I like my dishes to kind of pop. And you know what I learned the other night?
What's that?
Okay, watch this. Can you see this?
Yeah.
You're gonna do this right. Okay, watch this. Camera 1.
Cool.
And
oh, no, that's cool. I've never seen.
No, it's. I'm not talking about the marvel of the lid. My wife made some pasta the other day, and I'm like, oh, I like some chilies. So I popped what I thought was this, but I did that.
Wow.
And I went like this.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of flavor.
And so you see how empty it is? So I put about a third, onto my pasta. I had to scrape off a lot of it. Anyways.
How much heartburn? Did you get much heartburn after that?
I had some burn. It wasn't in the heart the next morning.
And there we go. Just a reminder that this is a family show. Keep your comments, on the side of good taste.
Okay. So for taste, butter. That's the only thing that you should use. When you're sauteing a dish like this, yeah, you can use olive oil. You can use different kinds of oil. But there really is there's no substitute for butter. So it's all moderation. And I did actually a cooking segment at the Winnipeg Ice Fishing Show about fat and flavor and everything. And I say, oh yeah, there's some whipping cream in this dish, and people go, oh my God, whipping cream. And they're the ones that have 4 cream in the coffee with an apple fritter, with French fries and blah, 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 in their day. So that much butter, is fine. So because I have no assistant here, Scotty Martin is going to be my recipe assistant, because this dish is going to be hopefully in the next issue of Just Fishing magazine, in the winter issue. So 1/4 cup of butter, and you can use salted or unsalted. I'm going to move this back over here.
Okay.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, so I've got a heavy bottomed pot here. It's funny when you look at that camera and everything is backwards. So every movement that you make is opposite to what you actually want to do. That's my excuse.
Well, I thought you were pointing at me, and listen, I've been called worse. So backwards I'll take that as a compliment tonight.
Okay, so I like to use a heavy bottom pot. This one here is a copper pot. You can use anything, but it depends on how much fish that you want to do, because you want to have the right amount of surface area. And if you're doing like 2 fillets, yeah, you can use like an 8-inch. But if you're doing more, there's nothing wrong with having a wider pot. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is that they try to overcrowd the pan, and things don't cook properly.
Now, at the outset here, it looks as if this could be a great recipe used for a shore lunch.
Oh, absolutely. Shore lunch, and I've talked about this in the past about it doesn't have to be deep fried. Yeah, deep fried fish of any kind is really great and tasty. But it's the after, like, do I feel gross or lethargic? I have all that oil, and especially if the oil isn't hot enough, all that grease is sitting in your stomach. Yeah. So, and it's all just about preparation, and I'll talk about quickly after about some dishes that I have coming up. So I have 1 teaspoon of garlic. And for this one, it's half an onion. So let's just say I'm going to do 1/4 of an onion, because I'm only going to do 2 fillets.
Okay.
So I'll do some for my supper and then for when my wife gets home.
Nice.
see that okay?
Yeah.
So I got it on high right now, but very quickly I'm going to turn it down to medium because I don't want it to burn. And I talked about this before, like if you add in garlic or onions or whatever, and if it burns at this point, that's it. Chuck it in the garbage. Don't keep going, you know, in a way. Who cares? You got chop another small little onion, you know, or put a little bit of butter in there and start fresh. So you want this on medium, kind of sweat it out and get that sort of aroma going, and it makes such a difference. And again, I think I said in my post that this is a one-pan dish, and a lot of people do like that, so there's less cleanup.
Well, we're used to that, Cameron, to be honest with you. I mean, you make these recipes, and I know I go on and on about this, look so easy that anyone can pull this stuff out of the fridge and put it together, you know, in a snap, and it's deliciousness. It's awesomeness.
Awesomeness, good. Okay, so now we have 2 tablespoons of sun-dried tomato and oil.
Okay.
I'm gonna put that in. And sun-dried tomato, and some people might not know what umami is. And umami is sort of a mouth sensation, sort of like oysters and shiitake mushrooms, and sun-dried tomato is one of those. And it's not sweet, sour, salty, bitter. It has a different sort of a mouthfeel. It's bold, but it's super tasty. And Italian restaurants, they use it all the time. And it just makes your food like super interesting. Okay, and then what you're gonna do, and this is sort of a Chinese trick, where you fry your chilies in a little bit of your fat. And that's sort of a kung pao sort of a dish that you saute like nuts and chilies. But I'm gonna put a quarter teaspoon of chilies. And now it's gonna fry the chilies and bring out the flavor. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. So then now we're gonna add in. So I've got a half a dozen of the artichokes. And what I'm going to do, and because those are jarred, they're already cooked. What I'm going to actually do is I'm just going to do this, and then we'll go on to the next step. Everything's all really fragrant, really nice smelling. We're going to add in very accurately a half a cup of white wine. Accuracy is important.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so while this is reducing and we're going to burn off the alcohol, we're going to prepare the fish.
Now, just in case, you know, for folks who don't know, if they are cooking with wine, how long should you let that sit at that heat before you know all the alcohol has been burned off?
Boy, it's like you're writing a recipe.
Someone told me I had to.
5 minutes, you know, would be lots. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 walleye fillets, and you can do 4. That's fine. But what I like to do is when I do the zipper cut, so basically I'm left with 3 pieces each.
Oof.
Okay, so now leave that for later. Okay, lemon pepper dill. So what you want to do is, it's sort of like a coating. I'm going to put on, you know, roughly, I would say a half a cup, but I always like to have a little bit more because I want it to be completely coated. And there will be like a little bit of waste. But the worst thing is if you try to use like maybe a quarter cup, it's not going to coat the fish properly.
So I've always been under the thought that the smaller the chunks, smaller the fillets, the better. I know some folks like those big fillets, but to me, when it comes to whatever it is that you're putting on your fillets, the smaller you make it, the more evenly they're dressed and the more uniform the taste. Am I?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And And a lot of times when you're doing, something like this, it's going to, they're going to break anyways, right?
Right.
Okay. So really nice smell, with the artichokes and the chilies and the onions. Okay, it smells good. So all we need to do now is, and you can let this sit, but it's absorbed all the moisture that I want. And yeah, we've got the artichokes and stuff like that in there. Just push them aside. And I always do, basically, the first side is a presentation side. So that is the skin side.
Gotcha.
So the skin side is going to go up.
And you're doing that to give it that golden type presentation. Is that what you're doing, Cameron? Or?
Just a presentation. Yeah, it's something that you get used to doing in like restaurants and cooking. You're always your presentation side is always your first side that you cook.
Now, I said to Cameron before we went live tonight, this is the first time that I can honestly say I have eaten something before doing one of his segments, and I can tell you, even though I'm not hungry, I'm still fighting those hunger. My stomach is growling at the sight of this, so I'm sure I'm not alone.
Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of this vegetable seasoning. Again, it's just to give it a little extra body and flavor. And the biggest thing, I'm positive I said this before, and people say, yeah, but my food doesn't taste like it does in a restaurant. Why is that? Seasoning. That is the biggest thing that people forget to do, is to season their food properly.
Thanks, Terry. I didn't think I was alone, but yeah. So just right here at this stage, this looks delicious, and it looks so simple. And I know we're probably at the conclusion of this, right around the corner. Again, we've been at this for roughly 10 minutes, and oh man, this is incredible.
Okay, so I just chopped some parsley, and parsley really gives some vibrancy to dishes. And my biggest thing always of what I want to do is, in the magazine for Outdoor Canada, I want people to look, actually, I want them to open the magazine to my page first. I'm kidding.
Subtle hint.
But for someone to look at my recipe and say, wow, that looks great, and go, I can make that, versus, something like, oh, I'll never have these ingredients in my fridge. I'll never have this in my pantry. Flip, go on to the next thing. So that is the biggest thing that I learned, from being a chef and then a food stylist, and but for writing for a magazine for non-professionals, to say, hey, here's something that you can do. It's actually quite simple, and here are the ingredients that you would possibly have, in your fridge or in your pantry, and go for it.
Now, Barry's saying that sesame seed is also great with walleye. I can't say I've ever had it. Would sesame seeds be something you'd be able to add to this dish, or would it contrast the flavor?
Sesame seed, it could go. There's no maybe right and wrong. Would I put it in? I wouldn't put it in, because there's certain ingredients that really scream sort of flavor profiling for me, and sesame seeds is sort of like an Asian ingredient. If I were to do maybe the same things, I would leave out the sun-dried tomato and the artichoke, and then you can put some ginger and garlic and mirin and soy and stuff like that. And but that's super technical. That's that's something that is very, very minute, for flavor. Okay, so we got it on medium, and that's basically how it looks. The main thing is just be patient with it. It's almost cooked right now. I'd say about medium. And now here's when people go, oh my God. What is he doing that is so unhealthy? Well, some people eat really unhealthy by like the first hour of waking up.
True enough.
Okay, so this one here is a 1/4 cup of whipping cream. I actually made a dish for Outdoor Canada. It'll be coming up soon. And it was the Walleye Rockefeller. Do you remember that one, Scott?
Yes, I do. I do. Yes.
And a good friend of mine, Paulette, you know, she made the dish. Oh, I shouldn't have thrown her under the bus there. But anyways, it's a really good learning experience because whipping cream, you can't substitute whipping cream with cereal cream or milk. Whipping cream has the stability of the fat molecules and the structure that it won't split. Okay. Cream, you know, or milk, if it's 1%, 2%, you could have a 12%, you can have an 18%. It gets to a certain temperature, and actually the heat will actually separate basically the fats, you know, from the the fat outside of the it's basically a homogeneous mixture. So in certain milk, you have fat globules and everything. But when you heat it, it becomes unstable and it splits. And then you have a very, very watery kind of consistency. So the Walleye Rockefeller, with that one, you have to use a cream. And I know I'm going to say it, Scotty. You're going to say, what just happened? Done.
See? I knew it was right around the corner. I knew we wouldn't have to wait long. Now, something like this, a dish like this, if I was to say partner it with something, some wild rice, perhaps, maybe some white rice.
That would be, you know what, even a white, sometimes they do a white rice blend, you know, of a white rice and a wild rice is really great. You know, even if you were to do like little boiled potatoes in with it as well, you know, to serve. But rice would be good that you can serve this dish on top of it. All the juices would go into it. One thing that I haven't done is taste it, and that's kind of important. Okay, so I've added no salt in this whatsoever. I've added no chili, no pepper, but you got the heat from the, I just spit, sorry. Heat from the chilies. And, you know, it could do with maybe a little bit of salt, but we have, there's a little bit of salt that I put in this one, from this one. So, like a pinch of kosher salt. Don't use table salt because you'll ruin it. And essentially, that's it. And so the cream is kind of reduced down, you know, in with the sun-dried tomato, and then the onions and the garlic. And, you know, this could be another dish that you can go into a restaurant and actually pay quite a bit of money for. Why not do it at home? I know my restaurant friends won't like that, but it's not very heavy. The cream does give it a little bit of body. And these are ingredients, like I said, you might not have the artichokes. If you don't have those, big deal. You don't have to put it in. You know, the biggest thing for people to say is, okay, I don't have these ingredients, but I've got red pepper. Well, I'll put red pepper in there, you know, so, or I don't have sun-dried tomatoes. It doesn't really make a difference. The whole depth of the dish is what speaks for itself.
100%. And in the theme of what the dish's name is, and I actually, at this stage, I'd be really surprised if someone could come up with the name of this dish. But I'll give you a hint. I would say perhaps a linguine noodle would go best with this, Cameron.
Bravo.
There you go.
That would be perfect. I'm not kidding. That would be really good, you know, and because you've got, sort of like a garlic cream sauce, sort of like an Alfredo, and it's good with shrimp and clams, and why not do a walleye with that?
Wow. Well, as I said, is that moonshine Jim is asking. It might be. It could
What's
very
that?
well be. Sandy's not at home, Jim. So when the cat's away, Cameron will play. But yeah, no, it is not. But I will say this: that is a dish full of deliciousness that is destined for the pages of Just Fishing. And Jim, we are dedicating this dish to Tammy, and of course, all of our rocks and stability figures in our lives, to the women, to the men who support our anglers, support our community, and support, our featured guests like Cameron, like Jim, and the rest of our panel. This is, and I'm going to share it right now. This here is what you would call, where is it? Tonight's recipe. Yes, there we go. Italian lemon pepper walleye.
Boom. That just happened.
It just happened, and you nailed it, my friend. Absolutely delicious.
Remember, if cooking is stressing you out, you're doing it wrong. Just come up with a plan. And I said this at my seminar, and I've said it to you. I'm positive on here. The difference between healthy cooking is, what am I going to eat tomorrow, versus what am I going to eat right now, because I'm really, really hungry. And those, and I did that last week. I came home, I'm tired, and you want to know what I had? Oh my God. I'm a hypocrite. I'm going to be a total hypocrite. So Sandy made some tacos the night before, 2 nights before. So I come home and no one else is here. And so I got some tortilla chips, and I got the ground beef and cheese and salsa. This is the best life ever. I got everything here, and I just put it all on a plate with some nacho chips, and I microwaved it. And I had a beer, and that was supper. I didn't feel good after. There's a lot of salt in there, and whatever. But again, a little bit of planning. Take your fish out or whatever the day before. You can have your ingredients. There's 5 minutes, 2 minutes of chopping things, really, to put into this dish. And it's just understanding just basic cooking and how to make things tasty. That's all. Not hard.
Good point that Corey's making, and perhaps not everybody is a big fan of whipping cream. Is there a substitute, or would you just not put it in? If you're not a fan of whipping cream and you wanted to do a dish like this that included all of these incredible ingredients, can you just remove the whipping cream, or is there a substitute?
Totally. Yeah, you can even like leave out the whipping cream. You can even put like a little chicken stock in there for body. And let that sort of slowly cook sort of into a sauce as well. I like the depth of whipping cream, but yeah, it's not maybe for everyone. But yeah.
Tony's saying add more wine. Well, yes, absolutely. You can never ruin a dish with more wine.
Cook off the alcohol, and then
Yes.
then you're okay. And yeah, even inexpensive wine, as long as you cook off that alcohol and you're left with that really nice sort of like box wine flavor, is really good.
Well said. Well, listen, to all of our American fans who are watching this, again, we wish you happy Thanksgiving. Again, hopefully it's family packed, full of fun, and you guys are enjoying some good food and good times. But Jeanette, yes, to a glass. Tony, not to the dish. Absolutely, Jeanette. It is for all the ladies and all the support groups and our rocks in our lives. Cameron cooked this, and we thank you for joining us yet again, Cameron.
One last thing. Make sure everyone go on to outdoorcanada.ca. I've got 5 new dishes coming out, my biggest spread on the magazine of the year. We've got bear pastrami and walleye Rockefeller. We've got candied trout in there. A couple more dishes that I'm forgetting right now, but so the theme is on the ice. So bring these things. Goose noodle soup was another one, sort of a goose leg pulled, sort of like a play on chicken noodle soup, and prepare all the ingredients and bring it out ice fishing and enjoy it rather than that peanut butter sandwich that sometimes my son makes when he's in charge of the lunches. One of these days I'm going to do a picture collage of the horrible sandwiches that my son makes for us out ice fishing and regular fishing.
Right on. Well, on behalf of our entire CFN community, Cameron, thanks so much, as I said, to join us and show us how easy it is to make delicious food, quick and easy, and stuff that you have every day in your fridge, in your pantry, and probably on your countertop.
Good. So remember, watch for this dish coming up, and hopefully in couple 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever, in Just Fishing magazine.
Right on. And as a side note, Cameron might be joining us just before Christmas for a festive favor that will also intrigue and entertain. Fingers crossed we can get that done. Cameron, I salute you, my friend. We will see you next time. Thanks so much again, my friend.
Have a great night, brother.
Peace.